Welcome back, my friend, to Creatives World of World. This is Tracy Matthews, your host today, and I am so excited for you to be listening in on this epic episode. I am doing something that I haven't done in a very long time, and this is going to be a very introspective episode. So if you're driving or you're somewhere where you can't stop and actually take some notes and think about this, then I want you to save this episode, download it, listen to it now, of course. Come back to it when you have some time to journal out, because one of the things that I've been feeling, 2025 definitely has been a year of upgrade, of shedding, of transformation. And it's not surprising to me that this is the year of the snake. And the reason why I'm sharing that is that it just, for some people, has felt very hard. And I would be lying if I did not put myself in that bucket as well for a very specific reason. I've been in a huge transformation, not only with my businesses, but really upgrading my internal operating system so that I can have and receive the capacity to build like 10x bigger wealth, 10x bigger capacity to serve, 10x bigger audience, and all the things that I've been dreaming of for a very long time. And one of the things that's very interesting about our subconscious mind and the way that we show up for ourselves is that it can, or we can at times, box ourselves in to a way of being that feels comfortable, right? Maybe we've known it for a while. It feels comfortable for us to stay inside of it, right? And that box that we put around ourselves actually can become what I like to call prison. Many years ago, I did a TV segment in New York City for Yahoo Finance. And we talked a little bit about, actually, I think this was different TV episode. Yahoo Finance, I was talking about influencers, but I was on a show in DC and we were talking about how perfectionism, how trying to always be like the good girl and doing everything the right way can actually create a prison for ourselves. And I liken this box to being something very similar. It's our comfort zone. It's the place that we know that if we actually just pushed out beyond the edges and finding those edges and pushing beyond that to a deeper, bigger expansion, everything would shift for us. All the things that we wanted would come true, right? I was just listening to something from this woman named Shoshana Raven, and she was talking about how you don't have to come to my event. You don't have to do this. You don't have to resonate with my message. You don't have to want to make millions of dollars. You don't have to want to do all of these things. That's fine. You don't have to want to do it at all. But that's not the people I serve. And that message really landed with me in a big way, because one of the things that I've really been playing around with, and I've been supporting people in my inner circle and my clients and community and the people who are drawn to me for so many years, is the people who are ambitious, who are motivated, who are actually ready to take responsibility for their outcomes and their transformation and their shifts, their reinvention, the next steps of what they're doing. And they're willing to freaking own it. And they are those people who want to invest in results and outcomes that are actually going to help them transform so quickly. Because here is my first lesson for the day, and something I've been preaching for a very long time. If you are unwilling to help yourself, then there's no one that is going to help you. Let me say that again. If you are unwilling to help yourself, then there's no one who is going to help you. And I know that we all probably have members in our family or in our close circle, and they're those people that we love so much, but they've created this box for themselves, right, that they're trapped in. Maybe they're operating out of victim mentality. Maybe they have an addiction or something that's going on in their lives that they are unwilling to take responsibility for. But here's the truth. You are the only person who is responsible for your life. So everything that happens to you, even though some crappy things might have come across your way, it's your responsibility to move through that. Now, if you need to heal, if there's trauma involved, if there's things that have been very challenging, we've all had those things in our lives, it is your responsibility to move on a path to heal that and get the right support for what you need. But in any way, shape, or form, you're the only person responsible for your life. And once you're an adult, I guess I should say. And so I'm really excited to walk you through this, because when you find your edge, you are going to find that next level to where passion and purpose and pleasure and profit, they all coincide because you are so aligned with your zone of genius. You are so aligned with the person that you are meant to be. You are so aligned with what lights you up. You're so aligned with the things that you are so good at that you can't help but grow. And when you get into that ignited, activated energy, guess what? Everything shifts. But the first step to that is you stepping in to this more evolved, more expanded, maybe future version of yourself. And I say maybe future because she's actually right here inside of you now. So maybe it's now, the now version. This is what quantum leaping is. It's really embodying the version of you that already has everything that you want. The version of you that already has everything that you want. And so I've been playing around with some of these powerful questions and exercises. I'm going to walk you through some of them today. If you want to get all the questions, I think there's about 20 of them. There's 4 to 5 in each of the sections that I'm going to talk about today. Find me on Instagram. I'm at I am Tracy Matthews. I'll also have instructions in the show notes. Shoot me a DM with the word edge, or you can comment on any of my posts and it will send you this Google Doc with these questions. You are welcome to write inside the Google Doc once you make a copy, or you are welcome to download it and just write in your journal. But these questions that I'm going to ask you today, and along with the other questions that are in this process, are really, really powerful to you stepping in to what is next for you stepping into your full power, for you being the brilliant human that you are, who's meant to do iconic shit, who's meant to step into greater impact and greater wealth and greater financial abundance, more creativity, all of it, right? And if that's for you, this episode is for you. And if you just want to have more ease and flow and be happier in your life, this is also for you because these questions will help with that as well. So there is a version of you out there that already has everything that you want. And it's time for you to step into that version. I want you to see that version of you that is confident, that's powerful, that is already upgraded into the most brilliant life. They have it all, right? The relationship, the family, the assets, what's ever meaningful to you. Everyone's got a different version of success. And one of the key core teachings that I've taught since day one of me being a business strategist and a coach has always been that your business must support what success looks like to you in your life. So what I find success in my life is going to be very different than what you might call success in your life. So for me, having the flexibility to travel with my family, having the flexibility to buy beautiful things, having the flexibility to pick up and go to, a $2,000 event, $3,000 event, to go on a luxury retreat. All of these things are part of my values. These are the things that make me feel successful. And these are the things that help me grow as a human being. So the things that I invest in are things that make me feel good, make me feel beautiful, deepen my relationships and experiences with my partner and my family. They are things that help me expand my horizons and help me grow. This is what I've always invested in, and this is what success looks like to me. So I want you to start thinking, like, what does success look like to you? And if you were to have the ultimate version of success for you, what does that look like? And so once you can get clear on that, that's where we get to tap into these edges. The thing about these questions that are really important, they're not just prompts. They're not just questions. They're not just prompts. They're literally activations that are here to trigger you, motivate you, upgrade you into your next level. They're designed to activate you into the part of you that already knows who the fuck you already are, right? Excuse my swearing language, but I think that kind of drives home the point, right? And there are going to be 4 categories that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about activating your edge, claiming your worth, amplifying your voice, and moving like the person you are becoming, moving like her. Each of these is going to help you connect with your body, connect with your brilliance, connect with your boldness. They are going to help you operate from the edge that your clients, the people that you serve, those customers that you're drawing in actually are so drawn to you, the opportunities that start showing up. And the transition and transformation from those feelings of struggle to being in a state of absolute flow because you are so on purpose and tapped in to what you're meant to be. Now, this is what this is all about. So let's talk about activating your edge. Now, the key question that I want you to ask yourself here, now keep in mind, there are several other questions that to deepen this expansion is, who is the woman who has already done what I am trying to do? And if you're a man, who is the man who's already done what I'm trying to do? So whatever type of business you have, whatever you aspire to be, who is a person who shows up and embodies that energy? So let me give you an example. When I was first starting out in my career, I had this big vision to be a sought after, well-known jewelry designer. In fact, I started my first independent brand in 1998. I went full-time. I started the business in the early 90s because I was in school and making jewelry as a side hustle for many, many years. And I wanted to have $1 million business. I wanted to have all the publicity. I wanted to be in some of the best stores in the world. I thought I wanted to be in department stores until I figured out what actually happened there. So I stuck with specialty stores or the ones that were a little bit smaller, big specialty store chains, but they were a little bit smaller and I could manage those terms. I wanted that. I painted this big picture vision of all of it, right? I saw myself sitting there with the celebrity clients, having my products on TV, all of these things. And guess what? In that process, I didn't even know that much about manifestation at the time or embodying this, but I started to sit in meditation and visualize because I started getting really, really interested in spirituality and yoga. And I started teaching yoga and movement and understanding the connection between your connection with source and having that divine guidance that really up-leveled you into that next level. And when I started to feel what it was like and didn't let the fear, didn't let the rejection, didn't let people saying no be the deterrent, when I started to feel and embody what all that would feel like, that's when things really started to open up. I asked my friends for help. They opened some doors for me and everything started expanding. And I did that. It's so crazy because the one thing that you need to remember in this process, that you might have a goal or a vision at one stage in your life, and you are an evolutionary being, meaning you are always going to change. What matters in your life at one point in your life will shift at other points in your life. And so it's really important at each next level that you start to recalibrate and get back to what matters to you now. And the one thing that I wasn't aware of or didn't understand at that time, because I think my body and everything about me is aligned with my third chakra. Someone did some heart math with me, and my third chakra is like my key chakra, which is the center of the ego, the center of power, the center of influence, like getting your transformation, getting your it's not your message out there, but like really making an impact in the world and people's lives. And what I didn't realize is my third chakra was getting out of balance, and my desire to continue driving the business forward was focused on my ego not wanting to give up a previous version of myself or this previous vision so that I could step into the next level of what success looked like to me. And what it looked like at a different point in my life was descaling. So I built this 7-figure business. I had the celebrity clients. My products were sold in 350 stores, all these things. And I didn't listen to that calling for the next step. And guess what? I was paying attention, but I kept pushing, shipped a bunch of orders. The market wiped out my business in 2008 during the great market crash. And there I was left with the repercussions and the outcomes of a business basically that was no longer aligned with who I was. And so if you followed me for a while, you've heard this story many, many times. If you haven't, you're going to hear it over and over again. That the biggest lesson I had at that time, that whole experience forced me into bankruptcy and a bunch of other things. And I'll leave the story at that. But primarily because when you have an inventory business and your accounts do not pay those bills and you've shipped hundreds of thousands of dollars of orders and you are not backed by a financial backer, then you basically have run out of, the cash flow or the lifeblood of your business. And it's another story for another time, but I had to take another path. But I really do feel like my business collapsing during that period was the thing that catapulted me into an opportunity to step into my next level. This led me to my second jewelry business. It also led me to being this expansive person who was here to influence hundreds of thousands of people at this point with my jewelry marketing and business education programs. And now I'm on my next level. Instead of influencing hundreds of thousands, my next goal is to impact millions of people, because I know I'm here for a big message and I know I'm here to facilitate transformation for people. So when you're stepping into this embodiment of who you're supposed to be, I want you to think, how is this person showing up? And if you want to, if you're not driving or operating heavy machinery, I know we have a lot of people, of artists doing this, who listen to this podcast while you're on the bench or playing with fire or making things. Don't get hurt, guys. But if you can, or you're coming back to this later, close your eyes and I want you to really embody and feel what it would feel like to be the person that you're dreaming of being. And I want you to think about what she has stopped tolerating. What does she know about herself? What is she freaking done with? What does she believe is possible about her career or her work or her potential? What is she not apologizing for anymore? Where does she stop second guessing herself? What parts of her current self need to be released or upgraded? So maybe it's you justifying your prices or trying to explain why your event is the place for people to go, right? There's so many things. Maybe it's staying in a draining relationship that's not serving you anymore. So let me repeat the question, and there's many more follow-up questions to activate your edge. Who is the woman who's already done what I'm trying to do? So I want you to think of like all the amazing qualities about her and all the boundaries that she has, right? Because those boundaries are the things that set you up for that next level. Now, the next part of this is you claiming your worth. Now, this is a really important value, and we hear people talking about charging your worth and all these things. And I have to be honest with you, you can't just unlimited charge whatever you want, because there will be a cap to people that you can serve. Although, one of the things that I've been playing around with, because I feel like I am, instead of leveling up and rising up for a very long time to the people who actually believe in investing in themselves, there was a time when I was catering towards the people who could not really afford the value that I had to deliver. And this is a really tricky thing, because I am about to relaunch my Art of Reinvention program. It is a program that is designed to activate and expand you and amplify your results and get you aligned with your business. And I'm so excited because over the coming weeks, I'm going to be sharing with you some amazing case studies and stories. And the thing that is so amazing, and I feel so proud of myself for this, is that my first cohort in this program, 80% of them, of the people who invested in the program, continued to work on with me for the next level, for my next offer. And that says something about the value that I delivered. And there was part of me that was afraid when I was launching the program, because it was brand new, to charge what I actually wanted to charge. And that was scary. It felt very scary for a very specific reason, because I knew that I needed to get some people in. I needed to move people through this beta. And also I knew that the value of the program was going to be worth so much more than the initial investment that people made. So if you're interested in this and you're hearing this before August 15th, shoot me a DM on Instagram if you want to join the program. We are having an early bird, and the investment is going up after that, because I am going to elevate this community to help people rise up and invest in themselves at a level where they are going to take their transformation seriously and step into that next level. So The question I want you to ask here is, when you're claiming your worth, where in my life am I still negotiating with scarcity? This is a big one. Because if you can acknowledge where you are negotiating with scarcity, and this was a huge process for me over this last year, because I mentioned this on this podcast many, many times. This last year has been a process of me descaling my multi-million-dollar company into a much smaller business, restructuring our community at Flourish and Thrive Academy. And if you're a jewelry designer, Dawn and Chelsea are taking the best care. We haven't had energy in our community like have right now since we first launched the Diamond Insiders back in 2015. And it's incredible. So if you're a jewelry designer who wants connection and you want coaching and you want to really step into your next level and you love that support and a highly engaged community with kick-ass training, that's the place for you to be. I'm going to have a link in the show notes. It's called the Desire Brand Effect Collective. And we've combined our communities, and it is insane and so affordable for the value that's being delivered. Chelsea and Dawn are literally bringing it. It's for you. And the energy is palpable. And in this process of descaling, it's really pushed me up against my edge of, wow, like I'm having to trust the fact that I am capable of generating revenue and wealth in the same way that I have in the past, but to be comfortable in this feeling of maybe not feeling abundant for a while. It's been a process. And so I've really had to take a look at where in my life I was operating out of scarcity. And man, this is a spiritual process because you don't ever really want to admit it to yourself. But if there's any lack, if there's any scarcity, if there's any part of you that is not operating from a place of overflow and abundance, look at this. Now, I was talking with someone recently who said that they don't like sales and they have a business. And unfortunately, when you have a business or you're coaching business owners, you have to be comfortable with sales because selling is part of being in business. But what most people miss about the process of selling is that selling something of value is an exchange of value. It's not taking from one person to give to another. It's an energetic exchange of value, right? And I'm moving my hands right now. And the reason why most people don't like sales is because their frame for what a transaction, they're thinking of sales as a transaction, like buying a car. You need a car. The car dealership is cheesy. And they think that for some reason, they think of that in their mind. If you are selling a piece of jewelry to someone who loves that piece of jewelry, right? And they wear it every day and it's part of their practice, like my hummingbird right here, right? It's part of the things that make them feel alive, right? Do you think they regret giving you money for the thing that they love to wear every day? No, it's an honor. It's a privilege. It is a privilege to have that exchange. And you know what was really interesting, because I was blown away that 80% of the people who joined the program, who invested in the program, I said that because I did have some friends who are beta testers who are going through a hard time join as well, or people who are part of another program that I offered and I gave that to them as a bonus. But the people who invested in the program, 80% of them continued on. And the thing that was fascinating to me about that is for many of them, it was a significant investment, especially people who do not live in the United States. And there's a big exchange rate. Canadians, I hear you. Also, I have a member who's in South Africa, which it's a significant investment for people there. And they still continued. Why? Because of the value. They all got so much value that they only wanted to continue. And so where are you in your life over delivering because you don't trust the value that you're offering, right? Where in your life are you undercharging because you feel like you're being greedy? Where in your life are you saying yes when you actually want to say no? Because if you were to get into a state of feeling what overflow and abundance feel like in your body, how does that like lighten you up? Because that feeling is the frequency that you need to bring into every sales process. This is what is calling you in. And my challenge to you is to question, how can you access 1% or more of that right now, that abundance and overflow energy, to show you that if you're selling something, you are operating from a place of value. So that's fun. Have fun with that. Okay. The third part of this is about amplifying your voice. And this is all about you stepping into what you know or the truth of your experience. So a question here to ask is, what truth am I holding back that my ideal client needs to hear? So I feel like this episode is the truth that I've been holding back that my ideal client needs to hear. Because I would not be a good coach. There's a reason why I don't like doing one-on-one coaching, and I'm going to share with you, unless someone has been through one of my programs. And there's a very specific reason for that. A lot of people don't want to go through the challenging process, which we call it a process for a reason, because there's step-by-step of how you do something, right? Whether it's building a jewelry business, whether it's reinventing your brand, whether it's getting into alignment, whatever it is, whether it's creating systems in your business for your custom jewelry brand. It could be anything, right? A lot of people want some shortcut. They think that one-on-one coaching is going to be that shortcut. And my feeling is that one-on-one coaching and working one-on-one with a mentor like me only works in two scenarios. Number one, they've already been through a process that you've created for them, because you have a frame or a way to put context to what you're talking about. Or number two, they're hiring you to solve a specific problem or help them solve a specific problem. Because what I will tell you, someone asked me the other day, she reached out about a private coaching package, and I do VIP sessions for very specific things. So we're ending up working together on that. But one of the questions that she asked me was, what kind of results can I expect? And I told her, I can't promise you any results. And I say this every single time. I can't promise someone a result from coaching because I'm not the one doing the work. I'm giving you my advice. But if you don't execute that advice and do anything with it, well, you are not going to get a result. And so one of the things that I need people to hear is, babe, if you don't do the work, you are not going to get a result. Your business is not going to grow. You are not going to get the transformation. You are not going to step into that next level. And the people that I work with and the people that I'm willing to work with in a small group setting, like the Art of Reinvention, or a one-on-one setting or a VIP setting, are people who take full responsibility for their outcomes. They are motivated. They're self-starters. They're excited to do the work, even when it's hard, because they are so passionate and ambitious. And they want to make an abundant living doing what they love. And they know that running a business and being in business has its ups and downs, and there are seasons. They don't believe in the scarcity and lack stories. I mean, we all have that operating in the background in some capacity, but they're not sitting there stewing in that. And so I want to ask you, what truth are you holding back that your ideal clients need to hear? What is it? So I know you probably know what it is. It might be that thing that you want to share, but you post and delete it. It might be that you think that you're being too much, or you're hiding. You don't want to like show who you are. You know, we just did this funny thing on the Flourish and Thrive account where Dawn was acting out a scenario where she was like, now I have to create reels like my 16-year-old granddaughter, and Dawn's 66. And so I get it that a lot of people feel this energy of not really wanting to do the thing that's going to get the result. But if that's really the thing, then just be okay with maybe your business not getting the exposure in the way that you're hoping it to, because you can't hide and actually expect clients to find you unless you have a lot of money to run on ads and a really great marketing team. And if that's you, congratulations, you're doing well. So where are you hiding, and what do people need to hear? Maybe it's feeling like it's too polarizing or it's too bold. The message you're most afraid to share is usually the thing that changes everything for everyone. So, follow-up question for you. What part of me is hiding behind polished when I really want to be powerful, when I really want to be activating, when I really want to be polarizing, when I really want to get people to take that next step? Because here's the thing. You being in your power is not you being perfect. It's you being real and authentic. You being real and authentic. Being so unapologetically yourself that people are so drawn to you that they just flock to you and your offers and everything that you sell. Now, the final part of this is all about moving like her. So, one of the biggest things that I bring to any retreat experience, like my aligned and activated retreats or my creative force of nature masterminds, or any of the events that I hold, is we always focus on action steps after the event. Because being inspired and not taking action is literally more defeating than never being inspired at all. Because you know what's possible for you. You get excited about things. And the most important thing is that you start to execute or take action towards the person you're becoming. So what would it look like if you stopped hesitating and went all in for the next 7 days on whatever it is that you're creating, your business, your brand, your new offer, leaning into just showing up on social media and sharing your message, even if it's not perfect, even if it gets one like? Because here's the thing I found. Sometimes the posts that get the least amount of engagement are the ones that trigger someone to actually take that next step to end up working with you or buy your product. Now, this is not about you necessarily going all in on every single thing that you want. It's about you going all in on stepping into this expanded version of yourself that you want to be. Adopting those personalities, adopting that energy, stepping into someone who feels empowered to share their message, to gain clarity on where they're operating in scarcity, right? Instead of full abundance. What would you finally start, say, or stop doing? Or maybe even finish, right? So if I trusted that the outcome, the perfect outcome, was inevitable, even if I don't know what that perfect outcome is, how would I show up? How would I be differently emotionally, energetically, creatively? I want you to move forward like the outcome you desire is inevitable. It already is, and so it is, right? And so it freaking is. I always end my reinvention activation sessions with that message, and so it is. Because whatever you set out and want to be, it is destined to come to you or something better. Because if you don't get exactly what you want, that might not necessarily be the thing that you're here for. But when you trust and you start showing up in the higher vibration version of you, in the highest vibration version of you, in this higher self version of you, whatever it is that you desire, the best version of you is inevitable, and she is coming, or he is coming. So here's one of the key takeaways that I want you to think about. Pushing towards your edge is uncomfortable, but that's where transformation lives, right? What is that saying? They say there's no growth inside your comfort zone. My friend Rhonda Britton, she talks about how to move beyond fear. So we have our comfort zone, we have our stretch zone, we have our risk zone, and then we have the die zone. The die zone is like we're so close to fear that it literally feels like we are going to die if we take that action. So if you can identify like, okay, and you're always pushing yourself into the stretch or risk zone so that you are moving, that's when your comfort zone starts to expand. It is supposed to be uncomfortable. Growth. No one ever said that growth was easy. And there's this whole story about manifestation. You see all these manifestation people and you never really know who's legit or not. Like I saw someone a while back saying like, oh, I thought about fruit and then fruit just ended up on my door. Like that's a pretty cool manifestation, but sometimes weird things just happened. when you're up to big things and you are growing in business and growing into your next level, it is always going to be uncomfortable. The discomfort is where growth happens, and that's where your life is going to be transformed. And if you're here impacting others, that's where their lives are going to be transformed. Because on the other side is freedom, next level clients, the business impact, the income, everything that you want is on the other side of that discomfort. And so when you actually just surrender and move through it, you've heard this before probably, the only way out is through, everything is possible. Because the opportunities show up, the people show up, everything that you need to make a difference comes to you. And so one of my favorite sayings is, the magic you seek is in the work that you're avoiding. And Jason asked me this question the other day, and it's something that he works with his clients on. And Jason, for those of you who don't know, is my partner, and he is one of the most amazing healers, transformational coaches that I've ever experienced in my entire life. And I'm not just saying that because he's my partner. Like, he's literally helped me through so many really challenging things. And also the transformation he gets for his clients is really palpable. One of the things that he asks his clients when they're pushing up towards their edge is this. The first question is, what is the feeling you're trying to avoid by continuing to perpetuate that story or whatever it is? Because a lot of times we have this emotion or this feeling that we're trying to avoid, that we push down, but because we're avoiding the feeling, we continue to get the same situation back in our lives. So what would happen if you just felt that thing that you've been pushing down, and if you sat with that feeling and got to the bottom of where that comes from or where the fear is, and unraveled the story behind it, unraveled the childhood trauma, unraveled the experience or the belief system, whatever it is. What if you just felt it? Guess what? The power it has over you would just dissipate. And I've heard Mel Robbins talk about this before, but when you have a feeling or an emotion, if you just let it linger for like 90 seconds, it's usually gone. But we try to push it down, and then it ends up with us for days and years and keeps us up at night and all these things, instead of just feeling it and being sad and maybe crying or feeling desperate and like the world's going to end, like whatever it might be. Just feel that thing and stop letting it have control over you, because there's freedom on the other side of that. So as we wrap up, I just want to mention something for you. If something inside of you is saying, yes, Tracy, I am ready for this next step, I know that I want this, the first thing that I want you to do is make sure that you download these prompts. I mentioned the instructions in the beginning of the episode, but you can shoot me a DM on Instagram at I am Tracy Matthews, and shoot me a DM with the word edge. And I will send you these prompts. It's just going to ask for your name and email, and then we'll send the prompts right there in the DMs, and we'll send you a copy in your email too. But the next step to this, if you're like ready, you're feeling inspired and motivated, and you really want to make change, then I would love to invite you to 2 events that I'm having this month. The first is my Reinvention Brainstorm Session. This is a live activation where you can show up and work with me in a small group setting to clarify what is going on with you, really get clear on who this person is that you're becoming, activate that reinvention process, and create a vision for where you're going next. Because this is really the most important part of this, is getting into that state of, okay, I have the clarity of what I want to do. Now let's go. LFG. The other step is that if you know that you want to work with me in the Art of Reinvention program, I would love to invite you to a reinvention activation session. These are amazing 30-minute sessions where I help you through a visualization process to activate your next level. And if you'd like to check that out, I'll have a link in the show notes. More than anything, I really just want to support you on your next steps. I'm so excited to be launching my next round of the Art of Reinvention, and it's going to be an incredible group. We already have some early birds signed up, and it is just a phenomenal program. So if you're listening to this while we're during the live launch, amazing. And if we're not, I would love to invite you to get on the wait list for the next round. We're launching this on September 3rd is the first day of class. So I'm very excited to be supporting you in your next level reinvention, stepping into your next chapter, and really showing up to do the iconic shit that you are meant to do, because that is what it's all about. Thank you so much for being here today. This is Tracy signing off. Until next time. Ciao.